It is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025. I'd like to call this Board of Education study session to order. It is 5:33 p.m.
Flanagan? Here. Haig? Here. King? Here. McHugh? Here. North?
Here.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second. Flanagan?
Yes.
Haig? Yes. King?
Yes.
McHugh?
Yes.
North?
Yes. Say up first, we've got a report and update from Wes on the Excel easement.
So I'm going to turn that over to Aaron to kind of give us an update on that project. Sure.
Yep, so Excel reached out to me about an easement at King Murphy to put in a new power line. The existing power line runs through both the lower lots and up to where the generator is in the back of the school at King Murphy. That power line is failing or has become of age to where they need to replace it as soon as possible. I met on site with Excel and several contractors to get the scope of the work and what all is involved. They would like an easement basically running from the upper lot of King Murphy, the teacher lot, the staff lot, at the intersection along the staff lot, so on the mountain side, up to where the generator is currently located or where the power comes into the building. Just from meeting with them on site, I don't believe that that impacts any of our usage in any way. It's unusable space. It couldn't be developed or used in the future for anything unless we added a lot of material and moved the road. So it's essential, obviously, that we have power there. This is what they've come up with. And without looking at the legal terminology or verbiage, which I would next send to Brent to look over just to make sure that all the I's are crossed and the T's are dotted or vice versa. That we would approve that and grant them the easement.
Are they paying for the easement?
They're paying for all costs associated with the project.
I just didn't know if we were being just nice neighbors and giving an easement, or if we were gonna get market value and we could use the bucks.
You know, that's usually a pretty good time to get a survey that we can have in our pocket too.
Have a site survey done. So
Let's
yes,
get them to pay for it.
correct.
Yes.
That's something I could definitely take
Right.
back to them. We didn't speak about a financial value of the property, but that's, I guess, something we could entertain.
Because are they in an easement right now and they're wanting to expand that easement, or are they vacating that easement and looking for a different?
They would be vacating the easement. Well, I'm not sure that they'd vacate the easement at all, but they'd be vacating the current power line that runs through our property. And then adding a new easement to run this new line in a different portion of our property.
Currently, it's overhead and they're talking about either burying it or running it up.
Currently, it's underground.
Okay.
Just go straight.
It leaves the road or the ditch line at the first parking lot, goes through both parking lots and up the hill to the school where it feeds the school underground. So they'd still be feeding the school underground, just moving it to a different location. They don't want to use the same location because they'd have to bore underneath our parking lots and up to the school, as to where this would be an open trench burial.
Are they abandoning the old line
They're
right
abandoning
in place?
the old line in place, yeah.
I think it's great, and I mean,
Yeah.
I definitely think we need all of the resiliency and redundancy from a power system on all of the places, so I think it's great, and I would imagine we would be supportive. It's just a curious question if there's any financial benefit. I think there's benefit with or without it, and we should do it either way, but I'm just curious if
I
there's.
didn't bring up any financial costs or thoughts of that. It's a great question. I was just thinking, yes, we need power.
Yes, we do need power, but we also have something they need, so.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
And they do pay.
They usually pay for their easements.
That was definitely something I'll look into. I'll get back with them about. Do we have any issues sending the easement as proposed to Brent to look over? They would like to get started. They don't have the project fully secured. They didn't give me an exact date, but they'd like to get started in the spring is what they proposed.
I think that would be the only other piece that would be really important from our end is to make sure that there's not a construction interference with our operations.
I
You know,
did,
so if they're doing it at spring, can they make sure that it's over spring break and not before, not after? Do you need to
Or
wait
a
for
delay in
summer or
service,
something? Yeah. So
I
think it
I
was-
did ask those questions. There will not be a delay in service more than 15 minutes. We would work that into a Friday, something that switch over, because they're running a totally new line. They would have everything set to go for the
Yeah.
switch over. It would just be swapping a few wires. So that process would be rather quick.
Yeah.
And the impact, working it around the school schedule too, so that we're least impacted is the priority.
I knew you would ask those questions. Thank you.
Anything else on that?
Thank you so much.
Should I stay up here? I don't know where we're heading next.
I think we see your wife before we see you again.
Basically, what I shared earlier with the county commissioners is that any of the money that was rescinded has been released now. So we are covering all the title funds that we need. And also, as you all know, the governor has called a special session to address the shortfall and projected shortfall in funding. That's due to, some of you know, probably better than I do, that income taxes that we pay for the federal government also impact our state income taxes. So with the proposed reduction in federal taxes, it's what's causing this huge projection lower income tax for the state. And so they're in the process of trying to resolve that or figure out how they're going to address it. So we have hiring freezes at the state level, which I believe started in October. And that Susanna Cordova, Commissioner of Education, mentioned that. They are right now already working on trying to figure out how to not fill positions as they stand right now and be more efficient and lean in their work. And so we're kind of waiting to see what happens with the impact. I know that the three education associations, CEA, CASE, and CASB, are all working to make sure that none of the cuts impact public education. So.
Do you know if they're still moving forward with the get her done mill override or tax question?
Yeah, Lisa's Will and Tracy Rainey and that group are still working towards that, but I believe they're thinking at earliest 2026 or 27 for a ballot initiative.
Okay.
Trying to get some groundwork done.
Yeah.
Getting
That's good.
school boards to kind of get behind it, and making sure they can kind of get the word out so they can get a sense of what the appetite is for it.
That's better. I think they were at one point talking about running it this November.
Yeah,
And I'm glad they're,
they pulled, as far as I know, they pulled back on it because you have to do a whole bunch of campaign work, and I saw what they presented in the spring, and it was not ready for prime time. I say that respectfully.
thank you.
I don't think I'm seeing any public comment.
No.
Okay. All right, Jen, welcome.
Hi. Sorry, Casey's here tonight, guys. Both of our parents decided to go on vacation at the
What?
same time.
Rude.
Pictures.
I will be sending a personal note to them. No.
Like, it'll be fine.
No,
He's not like a sit down and.
he's doing great.
You all do great.
Thank you. I sent you a couple questions. I thought that I knew what they were. One was Wyoming Tech, and that was for a student. So yay, because we like educating kids. I had a question about I thought it was bond funds and affirmed that it was the roofing. So, but it was moisture, and I was just like, I mean, it could be the roof, it might not be, so thank you
Funny name
for
that,
answering
but
those.
yes, you're welcome.
Were there any other questions?
I just have some follow-up, and I'm not even sure you were in the position when I have these questions, so I'm
Okay.
just following up. I would like to know what since we've changed over to the new print company, where we're at year-to-date compared to having the old print company.
Okay,
What
sure.
the cost savings is. I would like to know if it's possible, and I've asked everybody, so, we hear that it can be possible, but it's probably tricky. Dates on the transactions, on the reports that you provide us, if we could get dates added to it. And then it's wonderful now that we get that fund that shows us where all the grants are and how they're being allocated. But if we could get the actual name of the grant for the allocations, if you can,
I
that
think I can
would,
retitle them so that it'll show up in the description.
that would be great, yeah. So those are just follow-up questions.
Okay. Yeah, I ran all copy versus Xerox, even just talking to Ethan about it.
good.
And I was like, I'm not seeing the savings, and then he reminded me of this other invoice that we get, and it was,
Like the overage invoice, that's the one that kills.
it kills, and
And,
it was a huge difference then, and since
okay,
all copy was not consistent on the reimbursement checks, but I have gotten everything year to date now
okay,
and have a pretty good system with Eileen for following up on that. So since we're getting the reimbursement for the base copy, I think.
Good.
But I will get you like actual numbers, but
That's
so far
great,
we are
thank you.
definitely in the green there, so that was a good move.
I noticed that all the phone numbers actually belong to real people within the district. That's exciting. I thought about Marcy.
It's nice, and I think they're implementing another new phone system that looks like it's gonna be in the right direction, and
Great,
I think the improvements, not only for cost, but actual technology have been really good.
Any other questions?
I just asked one question about the, Nate knows IT, and I was just curious how often we pay that and what the deal was, so. I can give you the answer if you guys care.
yeah, I wonder if you can answer.
So it's our, who we're contracting now for IT, and so Ethan works for them now as a contractor instead of us. And also, does Sarah too? Oh, no, she's not around anymore, just Ethan.
Yes, Sarah, we had her position held, while she was on leave of some sort, I forget what it's, Coast Guard or something.
Right,
And then she,
military.
decided not to return.
Oh.
So we're solely with, Nate knows IT, so we'll see Ethan and Nate.
So the charge was for $16,897, and we'll be paying that monthly, and instead of employing, IT professionals, we're contracting now.
How does that work with Georgetown's contracts with us on the IT side?
They have opted out of some of the IT things, but they are still paying a monthly,
Right,
contribution. And, I believe it stayed set to last year.
I think it's something like 15 hours a week or something like
It
that.
is.
It's kind of minimal. But I mean, as far as the relationship with that, do they have to go through you or do they go to our contract? Because now it's a subcontracting scenario.
I think they're still just submitting tickets the same way. Is
Yeah, They're
Georgetown?
purchasing their own hardware and we're supporting their devices. and
Okay,
Any general help desk questions that they have,
Gotcha. Thank you.
as we have before.
There are any other questions or concerns? I say thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Most certainly, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you see people walk in, sorry, they're going to the enrollment task force, which is right next door, so.
We can
Yes.
see them all.
Yes. So they have been hard working this summer, oh my gosh.
Yes.
The student board representatives process, talked with Tina Matthew and.
Right, so we had a meeting, it was very productive. She understands the concern and the fact that especially here at Clear Creek High School, our students are involved in a lot of things, whether it's athletics, activities, or academics. And so it becomes a challenge at certain points of the year with those commitments. So I asked that she might consider if it's possible, and she proposed to look at maybe having 3 or 4 students that she works with that would take turns covering for each other, so we'd have consistency here at meetings. And the other thing we talked about was kind of growing student interest in being on the student board. So being a student board member, and that we would have her freshman civics class attend board meetings as an assignment, so that they get a sense of what the meetings are about. My guess is a lot of students probably don't know what happens. They've heard the name, but they don't know what you all do. And so having freshmen come and observe that would help them kind of ease into the comfort level of being part of the process. We did reach out to her today about attending the CASB conference, and she's very interested in that. So she's going to reach out to some students to see if they're the ones she thinks would be really going to benefit from the opportunity to have the student track of CASB attend, and then bring back that experience to you all by attending meetings.
Has she done any work on getting students that aren't already engaged in lots of activities? I know that those are the hardest to reach, but
Right.
they're the
I think
ones
that
that might
they're the
benefit
voice
the
that
most.
we need.
Yeah, I definitely follow up with her on that. I appreciate that input, because she traditionally uses her student government class to
Right.
recruit the students. So I'll reach out to see if she can have those connections, so the counselors can give her names of students who that might be willing to participate.
I kind of like the rotating idea when I think about the whole thing, and I think the only way that works so that we get meaningful feedback, which is why we started this, is we wanted the feedback from
Sure.
the students. But they almost have to, if we're gonna get a rotating student scenario, we almost have to have them or know that they're all discussing it together as a group and have come up with some kind of consensus, and they're reporting it back to us.
Mhm.
And I see that as being meaningful,
Which is beneficial with student gov now being
right,
a class,
right.
which was a big change.
So I can see that being effective as well.
Mhm.
But I also worry about the student who frankly, I am that student. I was that student.
Mhm.
But that we need to reach out to those kiddos that have the propensity but don't know that it's
Mhm.
a thing that they can do and, eke it out of them.
I agree with you. Having been a coordinator of the student government, student board,
experience,
I have experience. It's trying to find that perfect student who
Right.
really wants to take on this opportunity. But it's good to have the support of other students that, in case they can't attend,
Right,
but I agree with you as trying to get the voice of diversity of our student population. So I'll reach back out to students so we can do that.
And I talked to my friend in a small district like ours, and, they have, this is their second or third year successfully. They face the same challenges with respect of getting attendance at meetings because they're so busy too. But one idea that they do that I really liked, and I think Wes has done this in his past, but they have the student board reps do a project. So for example, this project was they sent them into all the other schools, which is kind of cool because then it kind of connects, the little kids with the big kids, and
right.
maybe when they're coming into high school, they're like, oh, not maybe so afraid. So they went into all the other schools and interviewed kids about issues or things they liked, things they didn't like, and then they brought it back and reported to the board. So I like the idea of a project. It doesn't necessarily have to be that project, but at least they're doing something if they can't make it to the meetings or interacting and they're
That's true.
providing feedback.
It's interesting that you said that, because that's kind of where I was going, was like, well, if we've got a student government class, maybe there's some responsibility on our end to ask for what we want, instead of them coming in and weighing in on,
Whatever.
a long-range planning committee, which is meh for them. Like, I don't want to turn them off of government forever, and we're boring. So,
Highlight the things.
and
that-
so I'm really wondering, like, is there something that we proactively want student voice about? And then we ask them, and then it doesn't matter if it's the same kid who can come every meeting. It's just kind of, we want your opinion around, well, I think I think the principal last year did a really good job with this around talking about the schedule. And what do we need to do to change the schedule because we don't like this one, and so I just kind of wonder if maybe there's some responsibility on our end to think about where we really want the student voice that we know will have the most impact, instead of just kind of being like, come to our meeting and see what it's about. I'm not surprised they're too busy for this. I
What
feel
if
too
we-
busy for this
what
sometimes,
if
and so
we-
I think we should think bigger about what we want to accomplish through this, and see if it's a project, see if it's a class activity, or it's more of like every quarter we want a student survey with these questions and we want them to go do that. But I think they need more of focus and a task to do, and I think we have lots of things that we think their voice would be helpful on, but maybe we just need to give more direction. So that's kind of where I
Yeah, I
was
really
going
like that
to.
idea.
Well, and I'm also thinking, if we go down even any of those scenarios, do we ever open up our agenda for them to put an agenda item on?
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
And that was another thing they do is I think we did that. We welcomed questions or they could join our discussion. I just think sometimes, well, if they don't come in, if they don't know what we're talking
Right,
about, or it's something
right.
like long range
Right.
planning that they're like, don't
Who
even
cares?
care.
Right.
Or they're shy.
Right.
These are great suggestions, so thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
The social media policy discussion. We started this under Tommy, he gave us a couple
Yes.
samples of policies run in other districts.
I would be curious to know what Wes's impression is of these examples
Try to find
and
what's
your
outside.
experience.
I think,
Loaded question.
yeah, I've been reading some information in addition to what's been presented here, is that we always have this balance between freedom of speech, it's most social media. And I think as they were presented from the commissioner's perspective is that you as a citizen, you have the right to advocate or share your beliefs. But you have to be sure that you're not saying, as an educator, as a
Right.
leader in school, or whatever that position you have in school, you're not using that as the foundation for, then I'm going to show you my beliefs. I think that is where we really have to be really thoughtful, because and I presented the Thursday, welcome back to staff, was about that professionalism, making sure we have the defined division between, because everybody watches everything you do as an educator. I mean, you're a rock star to the elementary kids, and you are, you're that amazing teacher they have in middle school or high school, and helps them, figure out what they want to do with their lives and so forth. So everything you say, that just makes such an impact. So we have to be really thoughtful about that. And social media is another way of trying to be thoughtful about that also. So I think that the interesting aspect of this community is it's so small, and that everybody has something to say about what's going on because of the size. And so because of that, you can't, because of the size of where we live, you can't just talk to your neighbors, or can we talk about it? You have, your social media is where you engage in conversations. And so there's that interesting balance between the two things. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but that's kind of the essence of the world we're in right now. And social media is a big part of how we engage in conversations.
Did anyone feel that any of these samples landed where you wanted to be? Because I'm not sure that any of them got all of the concerns.
I think it's important that we think about this in two ways. At least in my perspective, I see this in two ways. There's like the good way and then the not so good way. And I think when we don't have communications or marketing people social media represents a tremendous opportunity to talk about what we're doing in the classroom, what our community schools look like, how our kids are doing so well. And it provides a really accessible platform to showcase all of our awesomeness. And I think we need to do more of that. I don't think there's enough content in there for that to be as effective as it could be. So I think that's one frame where I think about, is there a way that we say, and I think we have put Lorraine, I don't think she's on today, but I think, we put her on the spot in a meeting to ask her what she thought. And she really talked about it being a building-led kind of thing to share the things in the building. And I really loved that. And I think we should still think about how to build the machine to make that happen at each of our buildings. And then on the other side, it's the not so good. It's it's using your position as an educator to spread information that may or may not be true. And sharing graphics that may or may not be factual. And trying to do that in not so much an information sharing way, but a sow dissent sort of a way. And I don't think we have a lot of control over that, because I do think people are able to say and do whatever they want to say and do within some parameter. But I think there's a sweet spot in there where we can talk about how we expect you to augment the great things that are happening and share those in every way that you can. And I would hope that we would have educators who would want to do that because they're so proud of their students and their work. And then also to have some sort of a process by which we can address things that are false or incendiary or misrepresenting reality, and how do we course correct that? And I think that's what I was hoping we would see from some sort of a policy, is how we redirect the energy to what is factual, what is true, and then move it ideally all the way over to
Yay.
what cool experiment did you do in your class? Or, oh my God, did you know Clear Creek has a boxing program? I mean, like all of these other things that I just don't think we talk about, but I don't think either of the policy samples did either of those things particularly well, but that's what I was looking for, if that's helpful, was kind of how do we push positive stuff, and then how do we actually, as an employer, redirect when things are not accurate or true. And I don't think these did that. So I don't know if we have to start over or take pieces or parts, but I liked that there were consequences of violating of the policy, and the one from Blaine, Minnesota.
Yeah, that's the only one.
I do
that-
think you have to
Yeah.
tell people what happens if you do this. And so I liked that they had that part in there. But that was kind of the only part.
Does that help with direction?
Yeah, I mean, as I adopt this from my predecessor, I hear what you're saying is I need to come up with something to present to you all that maybe captures what you presented tonight, and I will work on that then. So I can present you something that I'll do some more research with our local neighbors and so forth to see what they're doing.
I kind of like the one in Blaine where it was talking about, I mean, it defined what is protected speech and not protected speech within an employee relationship. I think that's part of the whole thing.
Right.
I think so too.
Okay.
And and if you're gonna post from a district-owned device on a district page, then there's rules for that, versus if you're at home, then there's a different set for that. And so I think that's an important differentiation in this policy as well. And maybe it's broader than social media, I don't know. But I think my perspective is that you don't have to like inherit something from Dr. Meyer, because I don't know that we loved what that was. And so I think you have free reign to not do that
Even
and
if they
I was
don't.
kind of get a sense from
To
you
go
all.
bigger.
what that looks like, 'cause I was like, okay, well, here's where I start with, so, okay, thank you.
Starting places are good.
Yeah.
But we're not there. But yeah, I think GBE that we're gonna review a little later this evening hits on some of
Right.
this as well, so. Great. The Long Range Planning Committee, we've had 3 people send emails of interest. 2 followed the instructions and 1 didn't. So. But there,
I thought there was only 2, where's the third?
the third was just an email
Thinking
Was
of
that
like,
today?
from Jacob. Oh, yeah, there was a third one added today.
I think it's in your
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You got it.
I'm excited. I mean, personally, I'm excited. I think instructions are cool. It's great if people followed them. I don't think that needs to be the like, if you didn't, then you don't. So I was just happy that we had people who were interested, had the skill sets and the experience that we said we were looking for. So I was really pleased with the 3 that came in, and I think Rachel would be a tremendous asset on that, given the depth and breadth of what she knows about our facilities. I was excited that she asked.
I actually have a differing opinion on that. I mean, she has sat in front of this board and said the words that, but for Georgetown being funded, she would get a better raise. So I don't think she could be an objective
No, we're talking about
person.
different Rachels.
Oh, yes, maybe,
I'm talking about Rachel Rubenstein from
from
Jacobs.
Jacobs. Oh, gotcha, I got it all messed up. No, that's incredible.
Yes. I'm like, wait, what?
What? Yeah, what the heck is,
Like,
thank you for stopping me.
Yes, like, no, no, okay.
No,
Yeah,
Rachel
different
would be
Rachel.
beautiful, yes.
Say, is there a magic number of applicants we would like to see?
I think it's in our,
Yeah, I thought so.
Thingy
So we're
bobby.
not there yet.
no, but this is great, yeah.
And I assume we'd like to have more than and have the opportunity to down select perhaps, but. Yeah.
I think this was a good start, for sure.
Great start.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get rolling, they're good, yeah.
I mean, and I think Rachel could give them a really good orientation too, and so then it's like these, Jacob, who has come and participated in meetings many times, he's wonderful. I'm really excited about that. And so it's kind of, to me, if Rachel could set the table with Jacob and Colin, then anybody that comes in is gonna benefit from any of the time that she spends with them. So I mean, to me, it's like, let's rock and roll with what we've got
They're
and
strong.
start going. They're
Yeah.
strong and helpful. And then I think good begets good, so then they'll start talking about it and then maybe we'll start to see some more. So I think we should move with this, would be my suggestion.
Should we continue to recruit?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm assuming,
absolutely. Yeah, I don't
just
think we've
making sure.
fulfilled close to
It hasn't,
what's on
it's
the,
been a while since
Yeah.
we put that out,
Yeah.
so a next steps is to put that message out, the invitation again.
now that we're back in school.
And maybe just
I get a
keep it
little more
going
feedback,
for a while
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it gets to like 9, 10, maybe
Where
we're
it
done,
does,
because then
yeah.
it's too hard to actually meet productively. But I think we leave it open for a while and see if we continue to get exceptional people that want to participate. I mean,
absolutely.
that's awesome.
Collective bargaining agreements. So these just were not properly agended. So we just need to revisit them so that we can sign them in 2 weeks.
Grievance.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Were there any red lines that came back from CCC?
Yeah, any changes?
I did not hear. Kristen said we could pose questions to her. She's on the airplane.
Oh,
Say,
I guess I just wonder, given the active grievance, is it weird to approve an agreement that somebody is grieving? It just seems like procedurally we're in a weird place.
but they're not grieving the CBAs.
That we're including the collective bargaining agreement.
Right, and that's what CBA stands for.
I said they're not, the grievance isn't against this, it's against 2025
Right.
1.
Which is reflected in CBA.
Actually, the CBA still points to 2019-1. Because I said that question.
Yes. I hear the confusion.
Mhm.
It's the same.
2.5.
I hear it.
Yeah.
kind of feel like that needs to get resolved.
Where, are we allowed to discuss that at all? Like where we're at with it? Other than the board notes? No? Okay.
I mean, this is a study session, so we can't vote anyway, but I
But
mean, I
no,
feel like
yeah.
we need some resolution of that before
Right.
approve this.
Say, I did pose that question to Kristen, and she said that Brent said to leave resolution 2019-1 in the CBAs, because that is the original resolution that acknowledges the CCCEA and therefore the CBAs. So,
Maintain my position.
Understand.
what problems arise if we do not
That's a good question.
approve the CBAs?
My understanding is that it needs to be approved by the board by the end of this month.
Correct.
Correct.
And if we don't, then it doesn't go into effect, the new.
And they're under the old.
Correct. I understand we're just agreeing to the negotiated CBA, not
Yes.
any other resolutions.
So I guess you would like to see the CBA reflect 2025-11 instead of 2019-1?
I would.
Say, can we do this in parts? Because I do think educators and probably all of the system is set up already reflecting that we have verbally approved
I agree with
these
that.
CBAs.
That's right.
So,
Again, it's something
Yeah.
just approved by the end of the month, so this is
Yeah.
questions regarding that and we can move on.
so are we sending it back to Brent to ask for
Clarity.
edits? Because I've sent it to Brent twice now. I did it back in May, and then I did it again this week.
We can have a conversation.
I mean, we still have time. We can't approve it today.
Right,
So there's lots of time between today and our business meeting to get my questions resolved.
You are correct.
do you understand her questions?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns around CBAs? Then we'll move on to Verigy and next steps. I did have Lori add some additional information from the legwork that Carrie Ann did over the summer. So I apologize that
That's
Wasn't
my
in front of you
fault.
very long.
Don't apologize. I'm the one that got it to you late, so, yeah. My
But yeah,
apologies.
I will create some space for you to help give us the cliff notes of all that information too. But I understand that the two of you met with Verigy
Yes,
and that there are some steps forward, and then you can provide some modifications and alternatives.
Just information. that I
Yes.
have. Yes.
so we had a very productive meeting, Erin and I did with Ashley and Matt from Verigy. They came out to meet with me to get me up to speed on the proposal that was presented to the board in the spring and the impact that would have on reducing our energy costs currently in the district, which based on their presentation was pretty high and significant. And there was definitely opportunity for cost savings.
But not immediate.
No.
That's the part that weighs heavy with me, so.
Totally
Sorry.
understand. And that's as a homeowner, when you're offered the opportunity, you see they advertise installing new windows and solar panels and doing this and that. You're like, wow, this is great. But then the cost of them is something you have to put into the savings that you have each month. However, there are some things that we definitely need to move forward as soon as possible with our energy savings, this building being one of them. if there you want me talking about that a little bit, is that this building does not have currently a monitoring system that allows effective use of heating and cooling, to monitor the building. There's some opportunities to use other cost saving, whether it be LED lights or motion sensors to turn off lights when the space is not being used, or turning down the heat at night. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm sorry, the motion detectors got me flashbacks. Sorry.
That's never good. That's all I have to say.
I agree.
Wes came from a space that did use motion detectors, so our review process was
Interesting.
very interesting and
Every 5 minutes.
I got some exercise, that's for
Yes.
sure. So there's some opportunities that we definitely need to move forward with at some point because of the amount of energy this building is using, and as well as King Murphy, which is also an older building that needs some help as far as energy savings too. So, Erin, is there anything you want to say regarding that part of the conversation?
You got a lot of it. Our meeting, there wasn't much new that came out of it that the board hasn't seen, presented by Verigy and me throughout various presentations. Ashley did speak to a concern in a portion of it that solar credits would be going away as of,
December 31st.
yep, thank you, December 31st or next year. There is a process in a way that we could go about still getting those solar credits if that's what we choose to do moving forward.
And there's some interesting aspects, both environmental, so location of our schools, rooftop space to offer put solar on, but also too, you have two different providers of
Energy companies,
services here. So you have Core Electric, which is the school site, which because they're a local co-op, and having worked with them along 285 corridor, they're relatively resistant to having renewable energy connected to their network because of the load it puts on and takes off the system. And so we haven't heard back from Matt. Matt was looking into that. We haven't heard back, but sometimes it's going to be such a challenge for that. The rest of the district is on Excel, so it's not an issue there. It just becomes a geography of the site and what it allows to have solar power get the sunlight that it needs to collect the energy to offset the cost of the schools, of the energy the school's using. And so that's part of it. The bigger impact I gathered from it, and the one that doesn't have the strict timeline, is to do some cost-effective measures at our schools. So LED lighting, monitoring the systems, having them on automatic controls with overrides, boiler systems, which are really not very efficient right now here and at King Murphy. So replacing those would be really impactful on the amount of, and also I know Erin's going through the process of replacing broken windows and things like that have need to be replaced just because of wear and tear. But those things will have some big impact. That comes into the part is, where do you fund something like this from, which is where I appreciate you reaching out to the CEO's Car Energy office. And that's what Verigy also mentioned, that there's funding sources, whether you have the money currently available to us in our funds for capital or improvements or maintenance, or you go to outside organizations that would give loans to a project, or going through possible future mill to pay for those projects. And CEO is part of those things, that organization that helps with that. I don't know if you want to add anything to the conversation regarding your conversation.
They felt like we had a strong leaning in on granting
Mhm.
because of where we are rurally,
Right.
that word.
Right.
That gives us a bit of a,
Mhm.
edge on that. But yeah, when I had the conversation with Charlie, I was trying to eke out some of our concerns, like, okay, so I wanted to address the RFP thing, I wanted to address, you know, we are not an affluent school system. How far do we get into this? And then, you know, we don't know what this actually gets us, you know, and where are we at and can we back out of it? So that was one key thing that I got out of the conversation that helped me a lot, was that if at the IGA part at 60% of it, if we decide it's just not working for us, we'd say sayonara, thank you for the help, and we take the information we got
Right.
and peace out, which is pretty great. When I asked him about, and of course the state doesn't have an RFP process, so we still need to find out whether or not we're required as a school district to do the RFP process. Because I know, I mean, it's, in the end, it's going to be money.
Right.
And we have to be fiscally responsible. And we can't just skirt the rules, I think, is what we're hearing from the board during previous discussions. So I kind of got the feeling from Charlie that he was supportive of just doing that process, because he gave me all the things. He gave me all the templates, all the, you know, the wording, everything that we need to go ahead and do the RFP process. I did ask him, just like I ask every client that, or every inspector that inspects a house, would you sell this to your mom? Kind of thing, you know. I asked him, if your mom is on a board, would you encourage her to go through this process? And he said that he would, that it's worth eking out, especially when you have that out at the 60% level, because you're going to learn so much more to that, right? Like, we're going to know things that we can do, but is it the big dollar thing that really makes a difference and gets us the value add when we're matching our capital dollars? Right. Oh, my intent for this is to take, okay, so we have capital dollars. Can we turn that $1,000 into $6,000 with granting or wherever, whatever, and instead of just like we've got that $1,000. So I'm looking to leverage what we have, but it's also a risk. So it was a pretty good conversation. I feel like we have a path forward. I think that we should proceed. I think that we have to make sure that the RFP thing, in my mind, I think that we do go RFP now, after I've looked at it more, just because it's the right thing to do and probably aligns with our policies more. But Charlie is a wealth of resource. You know, I provided the information. He's offered to come and speak as well.
That was one.
Yeah.
Thank you for the notes from your meeting too, because I do think you brought forward to CEO everything that we've talked about, and I'm sorry I couldn't join you, but I really appreciate your notes, and thank you for doing that.
Additional side note, the Colorado Energy Office has $38 million for state and local buildings in grants that we could qualify for by November for a project.
Oh, it's
And
right. That
a
is one
project
of,
of any size. It doesn't have to be solar. It could be just controls or just lighting. I want to continue to not get wrapped around, because the big conversation has been solar. And could we save money with solar? Sure. We don't know what that looks like yet, but we can also save money by doing other things in this building, which qualifies as a project other than just solar.
that is one thing that Charlie clarified with me on the energy credits for the solar part is, yeah, the tax credits stop in December 31st of this year. However, if a project is substantially into things by June of 2026, they're okay. You still get your tax credit. So we have a little bit of a buffer there.
State and federal, just state.
I believe that was the state, or I think it's state and federal, as long as you're into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Erin, I love what you just said about, some available grants that are kind of outside of this, that potentially could yield a bigger savings faster with less of a risk, which is super interesting to me to think about how we can ask CEO to help cover some costs that we know, new windows or new controllers, we don't need to go through this whole process to know those would work. So I'm really intrigued by leveraging some of those grants to see if we can kind of chip away at some of this without necessarily having to go all in right now when there's so much influx budgetarily that it feels really, I feel very reluctant to invest in something today, even though I know there's a savings in 20 years because our needs today are so great. And so to me, what you just said was like, God, is that a way around where we get the $6,000 worth of benefit, but all we had to do was write the grant to do it. And now we don't have strings to everything else. I'm super interested and would like to learn more about what those are and what those possibilities could look like, because it feels like we could end up at the same outcome without having to take on the risk.
But we could also have the professionals do that. I mean, I hate to be a dirty partner here, but we could have the professionals do that to the 60%, run with the information, right? And not do the whole thing, but the professionals have eked out all of the data that we need to do all of the things.
Maybe
Right.
they go to, maybe they're parallel and
Right.
go together, where it's
Good,
that
right.
and some grant applications
Right.
to see, and then we're making progress on this and on this. And then if this falls out, we've still got some benefit from grants. I don't know.
And I think we want to know whether or not that Colorado Energy Office granting money is more accessible through a program as opposed to one-offs.
Yeah, I
And I
think
think it's probably, I think there's an answer there.
And I don't disagree with either of you. This is constantly.
Don't even try.
Of the best way to do this, that makes the most sense for our schools. It all depends on what the scope of what we want to accomplish is. Can we write a few grants? We probably can and receive some money. Do we replace light bulbs in-house? Sure, we can do that. But as the project grows and as we want to get the most efficiency and most money back into our district. And really, I think it comes down to possibly going to the 60% to get all these answers. If there's no cost to us to do such, why not get the answers and then run with it from there? Is really what
Then we can make a decision at that time, like, hey, this is actually really great.
This
Okay,
sounds
lower
good,
it, or-
this is not what I was
Yeah.
expecting. Now, I had a meeting with Sammy, Georgetown principal earlier, and they're working towards an effort of being a green school. So she has offered her help as a grant writing person, she does those sorts of things. And she's offered her assistance on that. They would like to do and participate in any way, shape, or form. You know, they would be great partners in this.
Sounds good. And to your question earlier, I know it was before this meeting, Georgetown was looked at by Verigy. They didn't receive some of the billing utilities before Verigy put out their initial report
I
to
remember
us.
that, yeah.
What actually Matt did speak about though is that there were new boilers in King Murphy recently. I think it was in 2018 that those were put in. They're conventional boilers, so they're not high efficiency. They're as efficient as a conventional boiler can be, but those boilers aren't going to be up for replacement for a number of years, 20-ish years. And there wasn't a whole lot to be done at Georgetown from their very high level view as of right now. Now, they could go in more in depth with that, and they would, but that's where we're at as of today for Georgetown. So I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that
sure.
you did hear that.
I mean, I walked through the building, I could see the lights are still all fluorescent, you know, they just spent $12,000 on their boiler. You know, we have a pretty decent roof out there and some solar, so I think just a little more digging, you know, could be, and I think they'd be a receptive partner.
And I guess lastly, I don't know how far Verigy gets at 60%. Obviously, that's well into the project, but how much we actually get out of it. Do their grant writing teams start before 60% or is that afterwards? Do they tell us of all the rebate incentives and things like that for different systems? I'm not sure. At no cost, I think we could gain a wealth of knowledge to 60%.
I think you're right.
Just from the big energy saving options that we need to do.
That maybe we didn't even think about,
Right.
you know, that they might find that we didn't know was an issue even.
And we're not forced today to make decisions on
Right.
boilers or lights. I mean, we have and are changing LED lights. We know that that's energy consumption. But what else is there out there that we can
Right.
find out?
And some of it could just end up plopping into your capital plan, right? To the long-range capital.
Very much.
And then you would have actual data on it to update that information.
Right.
So it sounds like having another conversation with Ashley from Verigy about what it looks like going forward, and then talking to Chuck too about what grants are available that we can apply for some funding.
Unless we want to look at the RFP aspect of it instead of going directly. Does that feel weird to go to Verigy when we may want to do an RFP?
Sure.
I don't think it feels weird. I think they're a large company. They deal with other kind of school entities or.
Well, then it could put
looking
fire
into-
under their butt, right? Like, do the thing.
They are an approved vendor
Yep.
of CEO, along with, if we went to CEO, we can look at all the other companies that submitted bids.
Well,
to
they
be
provided us the
approved.
list of all the RFP
Yeah.
potentials. Yeah.
I believe that Verigy does comply with our procurement policies. I haven't verified that with finance. Oddly enough, we don't really talk shop at home.
Thank God.
But yeah, we don't have much time to do so with 2 kids running around, but that's a conversation I can verify with her to make sure that it does follow our procurement policies, but I believe that it does.
Well, when it comes to expending money, possibly, I don't know, you know, it's a gray area and maybe needs Brent's eyeball in it, I don't know. I just want to do the right thing. I don't ever want to be accused of not being fiscally responsible
I
at this
agree.
level. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
All right, review of the Clear Creek operations and relationship norms. So this is what we did 2 years ago, CASB,
Right,
Mr. Welch.
Yeah, so it's just included there, just a reference.
Unless somebody wants to discuss changes.
I mean, is this being presented as a resolution or just here's
It was
your
just,
thing?
this is what Wes is using as his
Okay.
operating,
Okay.
like,
Gotcha.
how he's working
I
with
can
us for now.
appreciate that, yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
We sort of tried.
You guys do a great job. I appreciate it.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah. Let me know how things are going, and how they feel, and so
We have
forth. I
our
appreciate it.
little, yeah.
All right,
Now we have the
dig into
next one.
policy. Like, does anybody need like a timeout, a breather,
Yes.
stretch, turn the lights back on? So these first 7 are from CASB policy updates from June of 2025. Policy ACA is around student names. We've looked at this one before, so there's just a few red lines. Just ensuring that we're including all genders, so. And some include capitalizations, yeah.
I think in reference to a concern brought forward by somebody, you know, the line, however, parents may be notified of their student's name change if appropriate. Is that, I'm hoping that, that we would use our best judgment in knowing that, yes, this is the time to contact the parents versus, you know, like, oh, you know, my daughter wants to be called Kai instead of Kaya. Okay. You don't need to call me about that, but you know what I mean? Just,
I appreciate you saying that. We should always work in partnership with our parents.
yes.
So, because our job is to make sure parents understand what's happening during the school day with their child and what's going on. So I have no problem. I agree with that.
I mean, there are always divergent, right? Like my daughter has 6 middle names. Please don't contact me when she's Willow that month, you know?
Right.
But there, yeah, I think the relationship with the teacher and student, I think that's really important.
Yep.
Okay. And I think, I mean, obviously, just to say it out loud, the concern is that, you know, if my female child now wants to be called a male name, then
Right.
you need to call me. So
Right.
and I think we all agree that,
Right.
yes, as a school, we should be making that phone call. So
Yeah.
just want to say that out loud.
And consistently demonstrate too.
Yes,
Mhm.
It's not.
right.
I also think it's important that we make sure, because I've seen some of the public comment on that, and I think it's just important that we make sure that in some of these cases, we're aligning with state law.
Mhm.
That this isn't a Clear Creek, the five of us didn't write this policy yesterday and decide this is a good idea, this is how we comply, and I think we might need to make sure that on some of these policies, particularly this one, because we've seen some public comment, that we just make sure that we communicate that piece out, because I think it's important, and I don't
Right.
think people know that.
Agreed.
Any other questions or suggestions?
We don't have an actual cell phone policy, do we? Or is it just kind of a rule that Brandy did last year?
There's a
District
practice, but
device, there's a district device, I don't,
we'll get to that as number 4.
Okay,
Right now, we're on number 2,
Yeah,
IJ.
Well, number 2
Oh,
on the
it is.
agenda, it's listed incorrectly, so I think that's why she was.
Sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
There's multiple cell phones.
The IJ is instructional materials.
Yeah.
And so we did have public comment on this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I would kind of defer back to what Kelly said, that we're following compliant, yeah. And that it states in here very clearly that materials, you know, will be available for inspection by parents. So I think that we're following, you know, what is requested by us, by parents. Have an issue.
So I know IJ on our agenda says student use of cell phones, but it's actually instructional resources and materials, so just wanna.
it wasn't just a blonde moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
We're just, I just wanna clarify that for the record, for anybody watching. But yes, all of these that we're going through right now are the state, aligning with the state legislature and their direction.
Sorry, I won't move on, I'll let us wait until we get to the next one.
Say, I think we're good on IJ then, okay.
With JICA, didn't we approve this already?
I thought so too.
I got very clear memory because we had good feedback about what
Yeah.
constituted what, and I believe we've already passed this.
It's a
In
change in
December.
capitalization of the word district and the removal of the word or.
Yeah, I was gonna say, red lines on this are pretty minimal.
I didn't even see them,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's how,
Um,
okay. It's like, we did this,
Yes.
In December of 2024.
Mhm.
okay, not
Yeah.
crazy percent, okay, great.
Alright, moving along, JICJ. This is student use of cell phones, although in my packet, it also looks like instructional resources. So, let's see,
No, mine says the right,
maybe I'm not scrolling correctly.
cell phones and other personal
Okay.
technology devices.
Let me back out and go back in, let's see. There we go. There it is. I'm learning how to use my computer today, sorry. So again, this is all updates from the state. Most of it is changing D in district from a lowercase d to an uppercase, including smart watches along with other technology. I did have some questions about the confiscated devices. If this is a student's first offense, are we truly holding it until a parent and guardian?
that's how it's worded. It's that you hold it until you have a parent conference. It can be on the phone and then returning it.
Okay.
Just as long as you've had a conference with the student and the parent, then you can say, the student was inappropriately using their cell phone during class time.
Okay.
And so the parent's aware of it, you have to give the phone back to the student.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah, confiscated.
Because
makes it
conference
sound
to
like a
me
long
does
time,
does
right?
sound like a meeting.
Can we
Not
change
a phone call?
conference to a different word, like discussion? Or something, because conference does kind of sound to me in person,
Mhm.
make a meeting, right? And I, 20 years from now, somebody else is reading this,
So
should have a
conversation.
different, maybe conversation. Contact,
Or that there are phases that the first is a phone call and
Yeah. I think
then it's an in-person meeting? Like, do we need to set that apart? But that
at
was
what point do we throw the phone off the roof?
When you make sure they have insurance for that. So the recommendation is to have a tiered,
I mean, does that make sense? I just want
I
to
don't
make
know
sure that
that
there's
I'm in
clarity.
favor of a tiered approach. I mean, I feel like it's been very clear to students that this is an expectation.
Right.
And if you are expected to follow the rules and you don't, this is the consequence. I mean, I feel like that's very clear and is driving the behavior that we want to see, which is what policy is supposed to do. And so I don't know that I agree with tiering it.
Okay.
I do agree that the word conference has a connotation that like a lot of people are gonna be there and it's gonna be scary and it's like an adjudicated thing versus maybe like a meeting, which I feel like can be a little more loosely, but I don't know that I support the tiering. I'd like maybe to hear what other people think, but my initial reaction is that,
What if a parent
maybe
isn't-
sometimes you get a warning from a police officer when you speed, but sometimes you get a ticket because you sped. And so the rules are the rules.
Right. I do agree though that the word conference, I think conversation, because then that can warrant a phone call, it can warrant something in
Zoom
person,
meeting,
it's whatever
Right.
I think administrators feel is appropriate for the situation.
You're right.
And I think that, otherwise I agree, I don't know that it should necessarily be tiered because then it's just, you're getting complicated.
Well, who's gonna remember the tiered,
Yes.
right?
No, I
What
think,
step are we in? Is
but
this
my
the
note
third
just
or
was the word
fourth?
conference and
Yeah.
so.
We also, on the, I think it's the second attachment, it says, by July 1st, 2026, we have to adopt and implement a policy that defines the prohibitions of anything regarding student communication device and possession. So we don't have that yet, it's just a suggestion by the building leader at this point. So we're gonna be either coming up with a policy of, no cell phone use or we are allowing it based on whatever the building leaders want. Does that affect how we're changing this?
I don't think so, because you're still gonna be confiscating the phone from a student if it's, depending on, I don't think that would complicate. I do think clarification of conference is important. It could be a phone conference, but a conversation is either in person or on the phone, or having multiple people in the room, like the teacher saying this is how disruptive it is, so the student has that restorative experience of saying, I see how my phone's disrupting learning in the classroom or my learning. So I don't see that right now. Good questions. So are we okay with changing the conversation? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm, I think so.
All right, we'll change that.
So Kelly, do you know what the actual verbiage was for that House Bill 25-1135? Because I knew that they were, I haven't looked at it again, but at some point it was like, let's put forth that you must have, but then I thought that there was kind of a pullback and it wasn't necessarily that there was policy, but that there was some understanding, so I just wasn't sure.
I thought it was not, it was presented stricter, but it's been adjusted to.
Yes,
to be
because
more-
this feels more strict than what I recall.
I'm gonna just do a quick look.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Well, January 5th, 2026, the State Department of Education is gonna offer a bunch of different tools and
Right,
resources.
resources, right.
But on or before July 1st of that year, so we'll have a time to look at what the state provides. Then the schools must adopt and implement a policy. At the minimum, the policy must describe the prohibitions, if any, regarding student communication device possession, and 2, the prohibitions, if any, and exceptions, if any, of student communication device during the school day. So there's
Okay.
having it, using it, and then it goes on about all of the exemptions within there, like if it is a device that you need for ADA compliance or it's part of your 504 plan.
Thank you. I just felt a whole lot more nuanced than.
But it's-
Yeah. So-
But I do think that what we've seen today
Mhm.
is compliant with that,
Right.
and we still have some time, to Marcy's point,
Yeah.
to look at what
To learn
other
what comes in
places.
January.
But I mean, the nice thing is there's a very high likelihood from what I just read in our policy and the act that we would be in compliance with this policy that we're passing today with this law, even in July of next year.
Thank you. All right. What's next? Where are we at?
Medication.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I moved all my paper. All right, so JLCD administering medications to students.
I have a concern about this one that just, it seems to be confusing. So I'm assuming these red lines came from CASB.
Correct.
So in the description before, it talks about non-prescription medication includes but is not limited to over-the-counter medications, homeopathic and herbal medications, vitamins, and nutritional supplements. And then it says medication may be administered to students only when the following requirements are met. And then number 4 says the non-prescription medication is a product that has been approved by the FDA, but no supplements, homeopathic, herbal medications are approved by the FDA. So I think that is very confusing
Yeah.
about whether or not a student can take a supplement at school.
Yeah.
So my understanding is most medical professionals will not choose to do that, and the parents have to be there present to administer that.
Okay, so if a kid wanted to take a magnesium supplement at school, the parent would have to come to the school to give the.
If it's that homeopathic,
Well, any magnesium
You're right.
supplement
Right.
is
You're right.
not
You're
approved by
right.
the FDA,
Yeah.
so.
You're right.
So this is very confusing to
Yeah.
me and seems weird.
Say,
Well, it seems counterintuitive that you define what it is and that these are things that are okay, except that none of the things that we just talked about are okay.
Right.
So I mean, that's kind of the
Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
with that, I think, to just maybe say it differently, is it outlines exactly what it is and then it tells you you can't use it.
Yeah.
And like vitamins and stuff, I mean, that seems,
I had to come in and give Kara ibuprofen because it falls under
over-the-counter medication.
that. I kind of trust that you can take one.
Well, now it says that she could.
Say. It was,
Yeah, because number 3
Number 3 would
says-
give Kara
is-
the ability to
is
take
redlined to
ibuprofen.
say unless it is.
Yeah.
by all medication administered to the student. But I thought that the thing that got us caught last year didn't change. Written permission to administer the medication from the student's healthcare practitioner.
But that's under number 2.
Number 3 is the
Over-the-counter.
situation. And number 4 is the.
Okay,
But number 2 references Tylenol and
Yeah.
Epidural specifically.
so as a standing medical order, if medication is over the counter, so it's still included
Contradicts
in.
itself again.
It does. This is like really weird to me. Yeah. I don't like this policy the way it's there.
We don't like it.
Yeah, we don't like it.
We don't like it.
I have a button in my office, it goes wah, wah.
Because last year, they interpreted 2B as still needing a medical order from a doctor to administer.
Well, I think now what it's saying is they would still need that, but you don't have to come and deliver it. Like they
Okay.
still need the
Right.
thing that says, yep, your
Right.
kid needs ibuprofen, but you don't have to come and watch her take it.
Right.
That's the way I read that.
Just
It's also weird.
that.
I mean, what parent calls their doctor to be like, is it okay to take
Is the office even
ibuprofen for a
gonna call you
headache?
back?
Are you ever, I mean,
Yeah.
I've never called the doctor to ask if I should take a Tylenol.
No,
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, like, so what happens in this policy? So if, say, a student did get caught taking a magnesium supplement, like, do they get in trouble for that?
not,
There
yeah.
isn't,
Can't wait for the newspaper article for that one.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
I'm speaking out of,
Number 3, it says providing, the parents must provide, it doesn't say administer. So I guess I don't know.
But then
Yeah,
it
so
says
that's
you
just
have
saying
to have
that
a doctor tell you it's okay
My
for
bottle
them
of
to do that.
ibuprofen that I am providing, and now I'm giving it to you, and I want you to take it.
Well, I know in the past, for
That's the
example,
administrator.
like the providing, so I could send a bottle of Advil to the nurse and say, this is Kaya's bottle of Advil.
Yeah.
For this
provided
instance,
this to
I provided it to her, but I don't have to be there for the administration.
That's the way I read that.
Okay.
but you still have to have the letter from the doctor for them
Right.
to administer it on your
I think
behalf.
that's ridiculous.
It just feels
It's not,
really
not every
complicated and
family, I mean, some doctors would charge for that.
Well,
right?
that's absolutely right. Some people.
Not
don't
everybody
have
has
the
that
to do
ability.
that.
Yeah,
So what happens if we're like, meh, we don't like it?
yeah, we don't like
I
this.
think what I will do is I'm gonna find out what other districts are doing regarding writing this. And I'll bring back to you.
Okay, awesome. You'll be like, my board doesn't like it.
Connection.
Because there's people who can help us with this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it just feels very clunky.
It really does.
Not,
Yeah, it's just not, it's not clear.
It's like
about
disparate as well, disparate in all the ways.
Yes, it's like page 2 didn't consult page 1 at all.
oh, they're gonna get better, just.
Okay, cool.
So that's for both, the JC,
LD and
And dash R.
yeah, so we'll set those aside, I'll get, some advice.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, yeah,
So that gets us all the way to 7, right?
That's
Yes.
exciting.
all right, KEC, public concerns and complaints about instructional materials and library resources. It's just, for the most part, adding library resources.
Right.
To the policy, so.
I have no issue on this one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And on to the next batch of policy. Policy AC, non-discrimination and equal employment.
Changes on this one?
I think it's just adding that the AC-R-1, AC-R-2. So the referencing of other policies, they reference GBAA, JBB, but. I think. I'm not seeing the red lines.
No, not me.
Yeah,
Or are they replacing? Is this the one that's being replaced?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why we don't
There are
see,
three.
sorry.
There's a link to the old one, but you can't see comparison.
I think I'd like to see the comparison. I should have looked at that. I think I might have even there.
It's on the online, they can click right on the policy to review, and it'll take you right to our current one.
Yeah, like that.
Did it take you there, those people?
It did. Mhm.
Yeah, that link works.
Yeah, I want to put them side by side.
According to the feedback thingy, this is looking like a September approval, not our August approval.
That's when we'll do the second read, is in September.
Gotcha.
And it seems like the new policy is added, from my quick review, it seems like it's adding some definitions that the other one didn't have and some associated policies.
Bullying was not
Like bullying.
originally included.
Yeah, I
Which is
remember that.
important.
Protected classes and instead of breaking out race or hairstyle and orientation.
Did we have any feedback on these?
Not on this one.
Okay.
I like this new one better than
Mhm.
the old one.
Yeah, defining is always good.
Are we good then on that one? Move on to GBEE. Which is staff use of technology. So this might be where we could look at staff and the messaging that they're sending. If they are sending it from the school, it could fall under this policy.
Okay.
Or the use of school district technology.
Is it more about how protecting students through teacher or staff use of social media?
Let's see. I did have a note on page 3, there's an extra bullet point.
Yeah.
On page 5.
2 extra bullets.
Oh, that's-
Yeah, it was an Easter egg. On page 5, educators are going to be using and finding AI tools to support them before we find them as a board. So I'm hesitant to put forward an approved list and instead consider verbiage that talks about an approval process and assume that it's okay to use that AI until the board takes action against it, but we need a way for them to say, hey, this is something I'd like to use or I am using, but it's changing so fast
And we
that
have,
I would hate to limit the use of something, because half the time you don't even know you're using AI.
true, very true.
So I prefer not to limit their, you know, if that makes sense, but I know that it could be a slippery slope too, but
So Ethan can probably speak to this a little bit more in depth, because Nate and I had a conversation about this the other day. Some of the AI products work with our district
right,
products and
Mhm.
some don't, and some have a significant cost to them.
right.
So there's those aspects also too, and it says in here, which I really appreciate, is that we have to be very careful about the difficult information about staff and students into AI, because it becomes something you can search within AI.
Right.
So those are the things we're kind of concerned about. If you want to add anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So almost all AI chatbots of any type, terms of service, I'll say 18 years of age or older in their terms of service to even use their service, which is blocked on our Google Workspace domain. So
Okay.
students cannot create accounts, talk to chatbots, anything like that currently. There are some companies such as Google being one of the biggest ones with Gemini. Gemini will actually be available for all ages soon. Their terms of service agree to that, and the access for, ages under the 18 or accounts that the label as such, which are all of our student accounts. Will have certain features limited, but there are some great features, Notebook LM being one of them. Gemini integrating with Meets is an awesome tool. It breaks down a big summary, puts it in a nice digestible format to read. So there's benefits and drawbacks to each. It's just a matter of determining what is safe and effective at the same time without being, exploited, which, as everyone knows, it's pretty easy to use ChatGPT to get to plagiarize things and write an essay for you. There are a lot of tools out there that are essentially already blocked because of account creation, specifically around students. So there are plenty of filters for apps in Google Workspace that we can prevent stuff like that if that's something that we choose to do as a district. Yeah, happy to answer any questions about that.
Thank you.
But I think what you guys have said is it's very evolving technology right now, and so we're basically playing catch up right now with everything we're doing.
It's also part of the special session is all around AI also, so who knows what we
Yeah.
might.
Um,
I wonder, and I don't know if this is the policy or not, but, I just kind of wonder, kind of like back to the social media conversation and some of the consequence and kind of laying that out. I don't know how to best say it, but I do wonder if somewhere in a policy, and I don't know if it's this one, I think it maybe is there a way to kind of talk about appropriateness with your device utilization and correspondence, and how do we make sure that selfishly students of board members are not in crossfire in technology communication instances, and how do we protect those kids? I know right now it's just my kids and Erica's Spanish kid for the year, but in future years, there will likely be parents who are going to be on this board who are going to have kids, and I think it's important that there's some sort of protection within there. And again, I don't know if it's this policy and really tying the communication and the tool that you did the communication to the protection, or if it's somewhere else, but I do think we have to talk about that.
Or in the previous policy
Yeah.
under harassment, because you're talking about very specific protected classes in the previous policy. But I think any form of harassment, or harassment, I don't know if that's the right word, but, any form of,
Treating them differently.
yeah, a difference of, treatment in class, I think that's just something we need to think about for current and future.
Just think about professional responsibilities, so how you defined that in general, so.
And I don't know where it goes, but I do think it needs to go somewhere.
Sure.
On page 6, there's just a C.
Yeah, I saw that. I was waiting.
Those are the dots.
Yeah.
Coda.
Look at
The end of that paragraph.
All right, on to GBJ. This is personnel records and files. Changing a lot of shalls to will.
Yeah, protection.
Including not just our licensed, but also our unlicensed educators. In number 2, superintendent isn't capitalized, but in other policies, we're making that change, so. But otherwise, I don't know that I saw. so it's okay. Teamwork. Any other questions or you still
No, I
digging in?
If you want to, it's like-
There is.
Wow.
there's probably a lot here that's open that they probably don't realize is open records request.
But these suggestions all came from CASB,
Right.
so
Correct. I think there's some legal precedents in some of this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
so
I'm
I'm
surprised.
just
you
saying,
didn't get caught out.
again, with the examples of,
Right.
it's not us saying what's available, and
Right.
what's not, but
There it is. I found the red lines in that one to be more interesting than the actual
yeah.
document.
Well, that was the May 21st update, and they rescinded it, so.
Yes.
yeah. Would you like a little more time with this one? Are you ready to move on?
All right.
Then IKF, graduation requirements, one of my favorites.
And this one
Does it-
had public comment.
This one did, yeah.
Yeah, based on that public comment, I'd like to ask where the precedent came from for the .003 shared.
I did ask Kevin
That's
that.
a good question.
He said that it was
Right.
there, that he didn't actually make that change. He was, that the .003 was what the practice was.
I was gonna say, when our kids graduated in 2022, there was code. And I don't know if they had the exact same GPA or if they were within
If
that.
they were just within,
I understand the comment though. I mean, when the kids are working their entire, their entire education to be valedictorian and they actually do pull ahead.
and I think
Fair.
that the policy changed after our kids graduated. So that 003 was added in 22, because we haven't had it happen again.
Times.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can add another 0, but, I mean, it does get down into, I mean, it was hundreds this year.
That's
So-
right there.
I mean, I think as districts are eliminating these titles altogether, I think it's really interesting to talk about what they mean, the work and the rigor that goes into getting those. I agree completely with the public comment on it. I just wonder, like, what does that mean for number 3? You know, like if you have valedictorian is at something, salutatorian is several hundredths away, and then the next one is 1/100th of a way, you just get nothing? Because what is the third?
They didn't sit in the front row. Yeah.
Right, there's just nothing. So I mean, I think that's why some districts are getting away from the titles, because it's all so close. So I think we have to really think about what is it that we do to recognize the excellence in our top performers while still maintaining the integrity of these titles, if that is something that we want to do. But I think that it should be an and, that we recognize maybe these titles for singular people, and also these are the ways that we recognize academic excellence in our graduating seniors. So I don't know if you can do both, but I think the public comment is valid and makes a lot of sense. But I also could appreciate being like, well, you know, my report card doesn't go to the billionth, like it's not pi, you know? And so, I mean,
Yeah.
at what point is it like, well, now you worked really hard your entire academic career and you're 1/1,000,000th off. And so you sit in the back with the rest of the chumps, you know, that doesn't feel right either.
Yeah.
So it does feel like there's.
Maybe we have
Somewhere.
co-salutatorian, but not co-valedictorian.
Maybe that's it, you know, so I feel like there's a solution in here where you can do both.
Because they're still being honored, but
Yeah.
not getting the top prize. Unless they're actually tied, I would be
Same,
okay, yeah.
So whatever you do change, you have to realize that it was something you had to gradually bring it in. You
Yeah.
can't change it for next year's graduate. You have to start back in basically
This year's freshman
8th
class.
grade.
Yeah.
So that when they come in 9th grade, they know, because having done this for many millennials as a school principal.
Many millennials.
Yes.
Ed, you look good, man. You look good for being a billion.
You guys need to wave your
I want
arms
your
over there.
jeans.
It's always a break in the room. I mean, the kids know, like, they've already figured out what they have to do to
Well,
get those.
the ones that are going to meet that level have plotted it out in 7th grade.
Correct,
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And they do it, it's really just a goal. It has nothing to do with like the lead pipe to the ankle kind of thing. It's basically saying, hey, this is what it is, and they monitor it during every grade, where they're ranking it and so forth. But they just want to get as much as they can and show that they've achieved it. So, I hear all sorts of parts of this, and I've had people want to change it to say, well, get rid of it, and then the parents say, absolutely not. This is the structure. I will tell you that, there are some scholarships that look into, again, ranking. If you're in the top 10, there's definitely scholarships that come along with that. One of the benefits of students graduating from Clear Creek High School is that it's a rural school. So SAT scores, if you are a student who does well in SAT, you get a certain designation as a rural school graduate, and that gives you benefits in addition to, I've seen students get medical scholarships and so forth because of that. It does benefit, and in some cases, some colleges say, great, fantastic, we can't wait to have you as a student, but it's not gonna make a difference in our selection process. It's based off of your essay you shared and what you contribute to our school.
So kind of speaking to that, when we get into class rankings and grade point averages, the first 2 paragraphs conflict. The first one says that graduating seniors shall be ranked including the last semester, and then the very next paragraph says excluding the last semester. So what would you prefer? I know for ranking purposes and for students knowing in advance whether they'll be seated, but then you also have students that just kind of quit that last semester.
First and second.
I mean, the first one
I'd
that
tell you,
includes is the one highlighted and bolded, but I don't know
Right.
what that means.
right. I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier.
No, it's all right, I've got a whole list.
I do know that when you select the seat, the majority of the decision-making is made towards that second, before the end of their last semester.
I'm gonna say this year, they looked at the last semester.
They did, I'm sure they
Yeah.
did. But there's a lot of process that happened before that, but
Mhm.
my guess, because you can't choose the Bell Sal in January.
No.
So I don't know why it's
Yeah.
there.
So I would move that we remove that second paragraph that says we're excluding, because there was a bit under class ranking, talking about AP, students taking AP courses, that if a student does not take the exam, that it would count as a 4.5A instead of a 5.A. I know that we've had some students that have attempted to do that, not for a financial challenge, just because they didn't feel like taking the test, and the educators are like, oh, heck no. If they're not gonna take the test, it needs to go all the way back to like a 4.0. Like, they need to feel it, like they've taken the coursework, take the test. And I think our educators are working really hard to ensure that our kids are scoring stronger. I know it was hard right after COVID. During COVID, it was really problematic, but.
So I have come to a different philosophy, but.
Oh, okay. No, and that's it. It was just a point, like I would love to
Where are
discuss.
you
just
even
what-
at right now?
It's
Page
under class rankings, so what page is
But
it?
I will support whatever the board chooses on this one.
No. I just know educators were kind of like angsty, and we had a salutatorian, not this year, but last year, that wanted to sit out of the exam, and they were told, you realize that when you do that, you don't math anymore, you lose your position. So, but yeah, we just love, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the thing is that taking the assessments matters for college application.
Mhm.
So that's impacting on the process, not based on their grade. And I think too that you have to give some, I mean, I come from a philosophy that we want the kids about taking the class and not taking the assessment. And so you want to prepare the kids for that college experience by taking the class in a safe environment where they know the teacher, they're with their peers, and they're learning it together. So that's just my philosophy. But
And I would say I'm a grader, I would agree with you, but,
right.
um,
But I understand the teacher's perspective. They want the kids to take the assessment because
it helps them.
it helps them grow as teachers.
They get some great feedback, you know, from the exam. And if they don't have all the kids taking the exam, then they don't get all the feedback.
Right.
Plus, we've taken the financial burden away, working with the sheriff's department and the schools foundation. They're making sure that every kid can afford to take the test. Anyhow, I don't, questions, concerns, just wanted to talk that out. Then, do we still offer CU Gold classes? I'm not aware of, we've got CU Succeed, but the CU Gold, I think maybe is an old, outdated moniker, or, so I just, if we're gonna be updating, that might be a piece.
Okay.
I was a little concerned with the pink portion at the very end. It feels like the very last bullet, take all required high school graduation courses at a certified high school, not through Red Rocks, correspondence, online. I mean, this is specifically for Val and Sal, so I realize that, but it just feels like then we have a whole bunch of exceptions to explain that.
So you're talking like wordsmithing and cleaning up the.
Yeah, do we,
I don't think that's a
Do we-
good sentence at all.
right?
I mean, I
'Cause-
think that if we don't provide a class, then the student is gonna eke it out
But I don't-
in another.
They're gonna,
That's what there's, I
So
don't think
they're-
that's what that says.
And the thing is,
Is that what
what they
we're saying?
didn't say in here is the major impact is students taking Warren Tech courses. What happens is because of the scheduling of Warren Tech classes, it prevents kids because of the way that says the size of student body, of course, when they're offered times where if a kid says, I really want to take this Warren Tech course, but it's offered during my English class that I need to take too, how can the school work with you to take those courses? Versus the kid goes, I don't want to take an English class from Mr. Paxton because I don't like him as a teacher, I'm gonna take it somewhere else. That's what they're trying to say is if there's circumstances where you can't take it, we
Right,
give you the option to take something else. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of cleared up in the exception-ish.
but is there a way to phrase that first part so we don't need all the exceptions? Because it's a lot of exception.
I can follow up with them tomorrow.
Yeah, I did share it with them before we
Right.
left tonight, but
I don't, maybe I'm in a nutritional deficit right now, and that's why I'm not tracking what the problem is. This feels all super clear to me, that in order to be a Val or Sal, you have to take your required classes. That seems normal, appropriate, and correct. The exception is if you can't, we'll figure out how to do that.
Correct.
That feels normal and appropriate, correct?
And we'll
It
talk
is
to your
not
parents about it
intended
too.
to do anything else.
Right.
So I'm not sure that it seems like a long list
So
of exceptions.
why does it say take all required high school graduation courses at a certified high school, not through Red Rocks, correspondence, or online? And then
Because it's
it
the
goes through-
example that, I mean, to me, it was like, if you're required to take English, you have to take English. You don't get to be like, I don't want to take English at Clear Creek High School because I don't want to sit by Sam. And so I'm going to take it at connectedlearning.com instead. I think that's what we're trying to not do, where we're saying we have an English class. You have to take the English class. Mr. Paxton is the teacher of the English class. You have to take Mr. Paxton's class. Now, if you're unable to take that class because it conflicts with Warren Tech or these other things, we make an exception for you. But we don't make an exception for you because you don't like your classmates or you don't like your teacher. You are required to take English, you must take English. That is the way I read that, and I agree.
I think the very fact that there's a debate is that it's unclear. I think that it can be tightened up just a tiny bit there.
How would you
I don't know.
do that?
I'm
I don't know
also
how
in
you
a
make it-
nutritional deficit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do,
Do you have a granola bar?
Or my other purse. I don't know how you make it more clear, so good luck. It feels clear to me.
And they're trying to clean it up because there have been people saying, well, I'm following a policy, I can do this, and they're like, oh, we need to change that.
The will loophole thing.
Well, that, but also too, kids were choosing to take their classes somewhere else.
Right.
But they're getting the education, so.
See, so I guess,
But we don't know if they are, because it's not through us,
So-
it's not through a certified school, we have no control over the
Well,
curriculum.
the first
so-
paragraph
And
is
if they're
all
gonna
about
be-
you have to be at 3 consecutive semesters to have these allocated towards your,
so I guess the problem comes with the last paragraph, because if it's, we don't want a student who could take AP Lit to go to Red Rocks. That it says, this policy is not intended to exclude students who want to take advanced level courses outside of CCHS.
Correct.
So
But
it's not eliminating the loophole
it's
in my mind.
fair enough.
That's,
I think what they're saying here in this is that, this is based on my experience, is that if you want to take Calc 3, you can take Calc 3 at Red Rocks because we only offer Calc 2.
That's the way I read that too.
and we did it last year.
Well,
What
I'm
about-
sorry, I used an
what
example, it could be
about-
Calc 2
Yeah.
versus Calc 1, but I'm saying is that what they're saying here is that you have the right to take courses, it should basically say be above and beyond what we currently offer at the school. So
but there are times that when we offer a class, it doesn't necessarily fit with the students'
Their schedule.
their
They're
schedule, like
working-
they want it, they're taking these other 2 AP classes, but they can't get this third one in because it collides with one of the others.
That's why
and
it's
so they're
general,
going-
that's what it says here, it says they'll make arrangements with you to, if you're not able to take the course, because again, you have a lot of singletons in the school.
Mhm.
If I can't take AP Psych, I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
Because it conflicts with AP Lit, something else, then they will make an exception for you to figure out how to help you with that.
I just don't feel like the phrasing in that last paragraph closes the loophole for students that go to Red Rocks to take a college level lit course instead of staying here and taking AP Lit.
Disagree. I think it's
Okay.
clear as could be, because it says it's not, I mean, if you take the parentheses out and you just read it, the policy is not intended to exclude students who take advanced level classes outside of the district to meet or exceed graduation requirements. Meet or exceed means, like, exceeding means we don't have that. You're exceeding the graduation requirement. You're gonna go take AP kinesiology. We don't offer that.
Right.
And that is not intended to exclude you from doing those things. This policy actually encourages you to do those things. And if AP kinesiology is now going to interfere with AP Lit, this policy provides for that exception to be able to do both of those things. So I'm just not sure what I'm really not sure what the problem is. To me, it's very clear.
Are we trying to keep kids here in AP
Yes.
Lit?
Yes. If if the course is offered and the kid can take it, yes, they should take the course here.
Yeah, because it says if unable, if CCSD is
But it
unable
says
to
to
offer.
meet or exceed graduation requirements. So to me, to meet,
But again, it could be taking English 90 for 12th grade English because they can't take 12th grade English because we're talking through the lens of AP and honors courses. Let's talk about a student who just needs English to graduate.
Mhm.
And they're Warren Tech, they can't. Then they can take Red Rocks course 90 English, or they can take online course, could be, well, it used to be Edgenuity, I don't know what they're calling it now, or what those options are, but there's online courses, they can take that. But they're not taking that course because they don't want to take it from Mr. Paxton.
Could we just get rid of that paragraph, the second paragraph?
yeah, I do feel like, I know students that will use that as a loophole.
I mean, and I think it's also really important that we remember this is talking about the Valley Sal only, not all of the rest. And I do think that there is a reasonable expectation that your top academic performers at your school go to your school. I mean, I would hate to work really hard to go through all the required classes at my school to then have the valedictorian be someone who took all of their classes at Red Rocks. That doesn't feel fair.
And so that's what the bullet point says, and then the exception is if we don't offer it,
Right,
we'll
exactly.
figure it out. So I don't even think we need those. It kind of opens it up again.
It
I
does.
feel like it, I was just raising it as a question.
But
I
I
am
mean, you
good.
have
If you guys-
instances where students will take,
Yeah.
double up in English for their freshman, sophomore year and say, okay, now I'm taking Red Rocks courses for my junior, senior year. They're just trying to say, yes, you can do that
Mhm.
because you've met our requirements.
I mean, I would think as long as the counselors are really clear on this, they don't guide them in the wrong direction, thinking, you know, that they're eligible for valedictorian, and then they accidentally take a class that, you know what I'm saying?
It just helps, as we said, the kids are already know in seventh grade what the plan is, eighth grade. So we're just making sure that because
I promise you, we didn't. But
There-
there are.
but there are kids who sit there in their sleepovers and say, so what's your ranking? What do you need to take?
No,
What's
that
the grade?
was totally my daughter.
This is what I'm
That
going
was
through
her.
right now.
Right, that's their world, and they get pleasure out of thinking about those things because they're highly successful, ambitious students who want to show what they've done.
Yeah.
And this is
I'm
just,
glad. If you guys don't see a loophole, then I don't see a loophole. IKFE, middle school students taking high school level courses. The piece I was a little unsure of here is this only when the course isn't offered by our middle school educators, so they were coming upstairs to take it?
the training accelerates.
Yeah, well, I asked because like Kara took Algebra 1 and there were just 2 or 3 students and they held a class in middle school
No.
for her to do Algebra 1. And so it didn't count on her high school transcript. So that's the only piece that isn't cleared up in here for me specifically.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
So I know that we have other kids taking,
Right, I think we would be more thoughtful to include them in the ninth grade algebra class. Gosh, I hope that's not what we're doing these days, because I don't think we have the staffing.
it had been the case and her algebra experience is a little less than, but you know, who's the football coach? But she did okay.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be the only piece if we could just make sure that that's clear.
Does the
Sure.
second sentence make that clear to you? The high school level course will also count for both middle school and high school GPA calculations.
I was just asking if that is only the case when the student comes up and takes it in a high school classroom, or are we still offering
Makes no
Algebra
sense.
1
Makes no sense.
in the middle
Yeah,
school?
I hear what you're saying.
Because
It is not offered in the middle school. It's a ninth grade freshman level class.
that had not been.
I want to
done.
apologize for that happened for your daughter.
Oh, it's all right.
But yeah, but that's not okay.
But I just want to make sure that piece is clear, that
Right.
that is now our practice, is Algebra 1 is taught at the high school. Because, yeah, that would have been. So yeah, I don't have a problem with the changes. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that that really wasn't still our practice, so.
And those
Any
people
other
watching this
questions or
program,
concerns?
Please reach out to me if that's happening, because I want to fix that as quickly as possible. I hate to have that happen again.
All right, then we're on to IKFB, graduation exercises.
That's just really adding that students will adhere to the dress code at graduation.
Do we need any sort of repercussion for that listed? Or, so what happens if they show up to graduation and they're not adhering to?
What would be an example of them showing up in graduation?
So they decorate their cap. for
I mean, that's what
graduation.
we do, they
I
do.
mean, and those, last year, the practice was just, the students showed their cap to the principal and she approved it. Or they brought it in advance and she approved it.
Well, I don't think that JICA even speaks to graduation caps.
Mhm.
It talks about your spaghetti straps,
Mhm.
your midriff
Yeah,
shorts.
exactly.
So I mean, I think the thing that is interesting about this is you very well could be wearing your swimming suit underneath your gown,
But you gotta get.
but you have a gown on.
Mhm.
So you wear the gown, you get the diploma, you throw your hat, you are done. You take your gown off and you're wearing your swimming suit. So what are we supposed to do then?
And there's also
'Cause I mean,
rules
They've already
about
got their diploma.
what
too
they
late.
can wear on, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yes.
rules about your cords
Right.
and other things that you
Right.
can or can't do.
Right.
And that's probably a different policy. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean,
I like to
it's
know.
Well, and I guess my concern is, so students must comply with the district's dress code at graduation, but we don't have, like, what happens if they don't? Do we say,
You can't graduate,
if they do, then you will be asked to
wear two
Leave.
gowns?
leave graduation ceremony, like you won't be able to walk with your class? Like, what is the actual punishment for not following it? I guess that's the part that's.
Is the cap really part of the dress code that,
It's, well, it's
This
not even
points
in the
to-
policy, so that doesn't,
Yeah.
so that, I mean, according to this, I mean, it's basically saying put whatever the heck you want on your cap.
Again, this is your interpretation from your experience, so this is new to me. So
Yeah, sure.
I'm not saying it's better.
I mean, what the policy says around graduation requirements, the one that we just looked at before, the JICA, says that graduating students are expected to wear the attire customarily worn for the graduation ceremony at their school, with the exceptions that are outlined below. They may adorn, replace cap, gown, so that's fine, adornment, that's fine, no big deal. Not limited to decorating graduation caps, tribal regalia you can have. You may be required to request permission to wear something. The student's request can be denied, and then it does say if you wear something that has been denied, you are required to remove it if that is substantially disruptive. So I mean, there's your kind of like what will happen.
Right.
You'll be asked to take it off if it's substantially disruptive. Now, I don't know what an adornment that would be substantially
I mean,
disruptive.
it could be like inappropriate, like alcohol or, you know, something like that.
Right.
I mean,
So it doesn't bother me, just that policy of just adhere to the dress code, which I don't think we would have a problem with our students doing that. We don't have a lot of those problems anyway.
I don't think that I've heard or know of any problems
No.
on that front during my entire experience with the district. So, yeah.
I mean,
I think it's just CASB.
Yeah.
Make sure
Right,
you
yeah.
reference the previous policy.
shall we move on to JS?
Why not?
All right.
After 7:30 could be.
Yeah, just-
Okay.
Well, let's go quick.
Student use of technology, and this is replacing a policy. So we won't see red lines.
There's a typo on page 5. Lori, right under artificial intelligence, it has 2 Ds at the beginning of district.
There's also a couple of weird bullets on page 3. And I'm assuming without looking, and I know that's dangerous, but that this policy doesn't contradict the other cell phone policies that we just talked about, that these actually work hand in glove. I'm gonna just assume that. It's very, but this one is very similar to the staff use technology also.
I love the sentence in this one. In any use of AI, students should be mindful the AI tools are prone to hallucinations.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, be prepared for that.
They make up sources.
Sensory.
All right.
Are we done?
Yes,
I'd move to adjourn.
Wait,
we got
we have one more thing. We just
board
do.
member for September agenda planning.
Oh, gotcha.
And do you remember whose turn it is?
I think I was gonna
Same.
flip it back.
I went
It's the same.
last, so
Marcella
yeah.
last, but she skipped you.
So is it you now?
I think so. When do you do the planning?
Say, we'll send some calendar dates and times to see what works for you, but if you've got some days that are best, we can send them to Warren.
September, I'm clear.
Perfect,
Okay,
yay.
thank you.
So, now we can move.
Oh, move to adjourn.
Second.
Yes. Kate? Yes. King?
Yes.
Yes.